Hello, everybody, and welcome to this voluntary, just for fun time together. So this week's lesson in risk management is really all about malware, right? And so I just thought I would take a few minutes to go over malware with you and to make sure that we were all, looking at it from the same perspective. Malware is terrible. It can wreak havoc on a computer and its network, right? Hackers use it to steal passwords, delete files, and render computers inoperable, right? So a malware infection can cause many problems that affect daily operations and the long-term security of the company. True. So the most 5 dangerous types of malware, right, I would say, and many others do, ransomware always comes up. It seems lately as number 1, right? We'll discuss that here in a little bit. Mobile malware, right, on cell phones, adware, rats or remote access Trojans, and banking Trojans, for example. So the point is protecting against malware will come in various forms, and it's best approached in a matrix-type fashion. We can apply defense in depth or diversity in defense processes. We can apply policies, procedures. We can do hardening, right, and much, much more along the way, right? And so this is what we're going to talk about a little bit today. Now, attacker persistence is really important. They keep coming at us, right? So we have to remain vigilant. This is why bring your own device to me is so important, right? Those are people on personal devices that are largely unmanaged, and they frankly should not be allowed on our networks, right? But social engineering even comes to mind, right? They keep attacking, they keep asking us questions, they keep getting to know the network, the operating system, the protocols, etc. that we're using. So attacker persistence is really important. And so we want to think about, okay, what are the malware basics, right? How do hackers get into the computer, right? Well, one way is hijacking ads, right? Cyber criminals often will place ads containing malicious code on a legitimate site, right? And they do this either by purchasing ads directly or hijacking the ad server and hacking someone else's ad account, right? Either way, malware sold as legitimate software is really fake antivirus programs, right, that have affected millions of computers. It happens. So antivirus software, good antivirus software, helps protect our computer against malware and criminals, right? Antivirus software looks at the data, the web pages, the files, the software, applications, etc., traveling over the network to your devices, right? And it searches for known threats and monitors the behavior of all the programs. Those known threats are called signatures, right? And it's going to flag suspicious behavior based on those signatures. New forms of malware protection include anomaly-based detection. Those are looking for patterns, or they call it heuristics, right? Rules of thumb. And so as a basic anti-malware program, Microsoft has Security Essentials in older versions of Windows. In newer versions of Windows, it uses Windows Defender. It's free, right? And you can use it to supplement your antivirus needs. Other applications available as well, Symantec, McAfee, etc. You can also use firewall logs to display traffic that has been allowed or denied, passage, so you might use firewall logs. Antivirus products that I mentioned also will help. Some of the leading contenders of antivirus products, Bitdefender, WebRoot, Trend Micro, Norton, etc. Okay, there are others. Feel free to look up. Now here's a celebration of knowledge. I ask you to pause the video, read through this, and say to yourself, what is or are the answer or answers, right? Okay, I see your applause. Good job. Yeah. Okay. Malware scans should be performed on Wi-Fi-enabled micro SD cards, external storage devices, and digital cameras. In this example, with that have wireless network capability. Wireless mice are subject to mouse spoofing, true, but not malware infection, really, in my view. Mouse spoofing involves sending forged signals, spoofing, right, to the victim's computer to match the wireless mouse protocol. So once the signals are accepted, the attacker can then use the mouse to command the computer to download other attack vectors, or actually an easy one is turn off, this is ironic, antivirus protection, right? However, no real malware that I'm aware of infects the mouse or the victim's computer, right? Other peripherals that you want to consider include printers, any multifunction device, wireless keyboards, or wireless displays, etc. are a good way to go. Okay, that was a fun celebration of malware. I hope you paused it. It was fun. Okay, Bluetooth can be subject to malware. You want to be careful about that, in my view. Bluetooth is no more dangerous in general than the internet, as long as we take precautions, right? So if we do, we're going to be okay. So still as a security tester, which this course is about, a pen tester, a vuln tester, right? Vulnerability management tester. We know these devices are a long-standing security concern for us because they are susceptible to bluejacking, which is basically sending unsolicited messages, and snarfing, which is extracting data from the device, right? And then, of course, there's now Blueborn, which is an attack that can take control of the target device, like the phone, and run code on it. So that is something you want to be careful of. It's a new attack, and Blueborn can download viruses and malware to Bluetooth-enabled devices, right? So it's best to have antivirus protection on your phone. Now, speaking of antivirus and malware tools, advanced malware tools, they will check for malicious code that would otherwise slip by the standard antivirus or anti-malware tools. The standard tools are signature-based, right? And new tools can be signature-based and also based on anomalies, right? They have algorithms that assess viruses based on anomalies. Data loss prevention, for example, can be used to examine outbound traffic for sensitive data, for keywords, for specific files leaving an organization, because it's doing deep packet inspection, which is nice, right? There's data execution prevention, DEP, sometimes confused with DLP, but it's not, right? Data execution prevention forces users to approve an application before it executes or launches, right? So you know you want to run the executable. Logs can also be used. They can record execution attempts and even failed attempts, right? And if you notification of failed attempts is important, as it can tell us that our anti-malware application successfully blocked an attempt to install malware, right? Or a web application firewall uses a set of defined rules to manage incoming and outgoing web server traffic, right? As well as attack prevention. So organizations like yours or mine can define rules based on our own vulnerabilities. Next-Gen AV is out there as an advanced malware tool. And again, that's looking beyond just signature-based, which are known attacks, to using heuristics or a baseline of activity that says, hey, this is different. Let's put it in the sandbox, take a look at it. Okay? Virtual machines sometimes get forgotten, but you should not allow internet browsing on a virtualization host. If it gets to the host, this virus can get to all the virtual machines. Now, it is generally thought that the virtual machines won't go backwards to the virtual host and then to the network. That's actually not true either. It can go either way. It's more likely you want to protect the VM host, but it can also go from the VM machine backwards. Okay. Web security gateways are another consideration. A secure web gateway, or SWG as it's sometimes called, is a cyber barrier, right? Or a checkpoint that keeps unauthorized traffic from entering the organization's network, right? And so the web gateway only allows users access to approved, secure websites. All the rest are blocked, right? So this is an advanced cloud-delivered, sometimes on-prem actually, network security service, right? Again, it prevents data from such places as entering the network and causing malware or infection issues. Also consider end-of-life systems, right? Sometimes, and where I last worked, there were lots of servers that had end-of-life operating systems. Well, those operating systems are no longer patched, right? And so without security patches, these systems are easy targets for how hackers with their malware and their viruses, etc. Okay. Firmware is another important consideration in my view. Firmware is kind of that forgotten entity, right? Firmware is added at the time of manufacturing and is used to run programs on devices that can be thought of as software, but it really just is allowing the hardware to run, right? So hacks to the firmware can come in multiple forms. Malware and bootkits and rootkits, etc., all popular vectors. Infected USBs, corrupted drives, etc. And bad firmware products are something that we want to be aware of. It can be part of the BIOS, the basic input-output that we want to be careful that it stays away from. Now, it's important in my mind to have diversity and control. Control diversity means that you are not relying on any single security mechanism. That control diversity can be further classified as administrative controls. Don't forget those in your risk register. Physical controls, technical controls, management controls, right? There's so many. Be diverse in your controls is my advice. Now, ransomware is one of the most dangerous today. I mentioned early on in this presentation. With ransomware, bad guys who statutory files and encrypt them, they're demanding payment in order to decrypt or redeliver them. The reason ransomware is so dangerous is because once cyber criminals get a hold of your files, there isn't any security software or system that can restore them to you. So simply put, ransomware can ruin your business, okay? So you want to stop ransomware attacks through various means like endpoint detection, okay? Speaking of virtual machines and ransomware, it's good to be able to go backwards, to do a rollback. So if you have a snapshot, you can go back to it. And that's one of the solutions to ransomware, is that you go back to a previously restored snapshot of the data, right, that you would want to consider. Unified threat management is also a capability. You can look that up online, but it incorporates a lot of features, including next-gen antivirus. I already mentioned data execution prevention, which are executables. Feel free to look that up, and logging, all flows there. The antivirus products and the anti-malware products that encompass them provide notifications when a threat has been detected and when action is taken. And on many occasions, the software will identify the potential threat and prompt us to take action, right? And logging can support us there. So there you go. That was it in a quick snapshot, some ways that we might look for anomalies and then resolve.